The population of the UK is forecast to jump by almost 10 million over the next 25 years. The Office for National Statistics says the increase will be mainly fuelled by migrants. The direct impact of immigration would account for 51% of the rise, but that goes up to 68% when the migrant impact on birth rate is taken into account. Well, with me now, Professor Christian Dustmann, who's the Director of the Centre for Research and Analysis of Migration at University College London. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
These figures are clearly based on current activities and are therefore taking them into the future, assuming that they continue along similar lines. Is that about right?
Yes, of course. These are projections. They are slightly different from last projections regarding the migration numbers, because net inflows over the last periods have been slightly higher than what we expected. But overall, I don't think these figures are anything unexpected. They are very similar in terms of the directions in which they go than figures we have seen in the past.
And they would be contrasting to some other European countries, wouldn't they?
Yes, very much so. So what we see in many continental European countries, in particular the large economies such as Germany, is actually a trend in the opposite direction. Population is decreasing in Germany, as it is in Italy or Spain. And that puts these countries in a very difficult situation. Every time populations are decreasing, you're dealing with a shrinking working age population, which basically has to be confronted with an increasing aging population, which is not productive anymore. And of course, that implies many challenges.
You will be aware, though, of people who will regard these figures as presenting many challenges. If the population rises, it's down to migration more than not. People will look at health services, school numbers, housing, and think we simply haven't got room for all this.
Well, the key question here is whether those who are entering the labour market, in particular whether immigrants are paying their fair way, so to say, whether they pay sufficiently in terms of taxes to justify what they consume in terms of public services.
But they've still got to live somewhere and be educated somewhere and get their health services.
Sure, these are all, every time you have a change in population, whether it is a shrinkage or it's an increase, you have to adapt public services. And one reason why we have these ONS numbers is to prepare the policymaker for future demands, which in this country go in the direction of an increasing demand on public services.
So when policymakers look at these figures, what should they be concentrating on, do you argue?
Well, they should clearly be prepared to expand public services.
And therefore have us pay more taxes to fund that?
No, that's not. That's exactly the point I try to make. So an increasing population, of course, means a larger economic base. So part of the GDP growth we have seen, for instance, is due to immigration. So those individuals who come to this country and work in this country pay actually taxes. They take public services, but they also contribute to public services in terms of taxes. And our own work has shown that what immigrants who came after 2000 have paid in terms of taxes was far more than what they took out in terms of public services and transfers.
Going back to the comparison we made with other European countries, and you talked about Germany, the numbers falling, but surely that will change as a result of current events and the Syrian people who are coming in the direction of
that. That keeps to be seen. So at the moment, I think it is too early to make very strong projections in this particular direction. Many of the asylum claims have not been decided by the court. Actually, the vast majority hasn't been decided. We don't know how Syria will develop. Many of the Syrians actually would be very happy to go back if they can go back to a safe environment. And I would think it is just too early to make any predictions how this recent influx of refugees into Germany will change the population in the long run.
Okay, thank you for coming in, Professor
You're welcome.
Christian Dustmann there from